We're live.
And we're back.
What up? Okay. We don't have that much time to waste because I've already wasted enough time uh, today on a bunch of things, and we said we go live around 4. It's around 4 o'clock, so let's get right into this. Recording on my end. We are recording. Okay. Let me get the screenshot out. Get some people in the chat. We see y'all in the chat though. NBA free agency. Y'all know what time it is. Usually
We
it's
got owner, Yankee Power, Connor, everybody out here for a very special first day and a half of free agency. Actually, not even a day and a half, less than a day, less than 24 hours. We have Ray Romano. People know him from almost getting banned in the chat on our last episode, already causing nonsense in the comments.
Oh yeah, we got zero tolerance at this point. I'll get them out of the paint quickly. Let me just get these tweets off so we can get some people in here, and then we'll be off. Okay.
How are we feeling though? Drop some questions. I know we got some voicemails coming in. A lot of questions on the Twitter coming in. A lot of opinions, a lot of feelings about what the Nets are doing. We saw a lot of negative energy today, then all of a sudden replaced by positive energy. So a lot of emotions on the timeline.
Okay, because we're live. Talking Nets NBA free agency. Tag me, tag Hudson, and hit send. All right, let's do it. We're live. Talking Nets NBA free agency. Okay. It's out there. It's out there. All right. We're recording here. Yeah, we're recording here, but it's not that loud. I need my mic to be a little closer to me. That's better. All right, let's do this thing. Talking Nets, episode 118. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn joining you on Tuesday, August 3rd. Yeah, it's August 3rd. NBA free agency hitting y'all a little later in the summer than you're used to, but still a frenzy, still a lot of moving parts. Still a lot of thoughts and opinions on what the Nets are doing or aren't doing, what our competitors are doing. And we'll run through the list of names of guys that we've re-signed, guys that we've let go, maybe talk a little bit about other NBA teams, but not too much. And take your questions from the chat, your questions in the voicemails, and just talk through this whole thing. In Marks We Trust, Talking Nets. Let's get it. Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 118. It is free agency time. And when I think about free agency time, I think about the times that you have to improve your team, right? The Nets are a championship caliber team. We were defeated by the eventual NBA champions. We're at the top, right? So how much do we stand to improve? You can always get better. You can always improve. This team had weaknesses. This team had flaws that we all saw. So NBA free agency is supposed to be a time to get better. The draft just passed last week. That's a time to get better. And then obviously you have the trade deadline, a time to get better. When you look at a team like the Bucks and what they did at the trade deadline and getting PJ Tucker in free agency last year, getting Drew Holiday, their team got better. It put them over the hump and they were able to get it done. Let me pass the mic off to my guy, Hudson Flynn, who has been covering NBA free agency for us as I waste my time with the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Hudson Flynn, can you say hello to the people?
How are we doing, everybody? What's up to the chat? What is up to our Spotify, our Apple Podcast listeners, everybody? And yeah, like Keith said, I've been all over it to a point of self-destruction. I'll tell you. So last night, I sat there refreshing until about midnight. And I was like, you know what? Nothing's happened. No Nets news has broken. There really hasn't been much going on. We lost Jeff, but that's been about it. And I'm like, I'm going to go to bed. And I go to bed, and my phone keeps buzzing. And I'm like, all right, let me check it one more time before I go to bed. I was going to put it on Do Not Disturb. I look. Spencer Dinwiddie is nearing, reaching a contract agreement with the Washington Wizards from Woj. And I'm like, good morning, good afternoon. I'm back up and I'm sitting up again for 2 hours waiting for this sign and trade to happen, waiting for the news to break. It's 2 a.m. Everybody on Nets Twitter is still awake and nothing happens. I finally go to bed and I wake up to see all of that time was wasted because it is Tuesday, August 3rd at 4:30 p.m. and we still do not know where Spencer Dinwiddie is going. But we do have some news. We do have some notes. We do have some new signings. And we do have some new assertions about why Sean Marks is and remains the best GM in the NBA.
In Marks we trust. Simple as that. So I guess let's get right into it. I think the biggest news of today, we were waiting on the Spencer news, right? We were gonna go live at 1. We pushed it back from 1 to 3 to 4, and now really 4:30. Because we were waiting on a few things. We knew that Patty Mills was still up in the air. People were talking about the Lakers and the Nets who would get Patty Mills. We got Patty Mills. We also were waiting on the Spencer news, but let's talk Patty Mills for a second. Patty Mills is a pest. Patty Mills is a guy that when we're playing against him, you hate him. So, of course, that's the kind of guy you want on this team. And I think with Spencer moving on, Patty coming in, that's a veteran. And like I just said, he's a pest. He's a guy that, he can frustrate you. He can shoot. He's going to play some defense. And I think he'll be a good veteran on this Nets team. What were you thinking? I know you took a nap. I was talking to Hudson. He was up till 4 a.m. last night waiting on stuff to happen. And he took a nap today. And I think the Patty Mills news broke and the James Johnson news broke. So what were you thinking when you saw that the Nets did get Patty Mills, especially as fans were like, what are we waiting on? What are we doing? What the hell are the Nets doing, man? Everybody's getting better. Everybody's making moves.
Yeah, I got lucky because I actually just woke up. I missed Bruce re-signing and I missed the James Johnson news, but I was awake for Patty. And man, I'm thrilled with it. He was definitely a top free agent target for me for the Nets. And I'm thrilled to have gotten him. Obviously, we're going to have a hole at backup guard with Spencer leaving. And in terms of players that we can afford, getting him at $12 million over 2 years, I'm absolutely thrilled with it. He's a great defender. He's a shooter. He can ball handle. He can play off the ball. It's going to combo great with James Harden. And at the price, I really can't think about, can't really think of anybody else that I would have preferred the Nets have gotten out and gotten. He is going to slot into this Nets team perfectly. And in terms of, a lot of the emotions about Sean Marks, so he didn't trade any of the draft picks we had in the draft. We don't know what's going on with Spencer Dinwiddie. He missed out on some of these signings. He let Jeff Green go. It all kind of came back into perspective today. We get Patty Mills, who is essentially the ideal backcourt player for this team and for what we have needs. And I'm thrilled to have gotten him. Obviously, there's the San Antonio connections. I think that definitely played a role. And even better, our gain is another team's loss. The Los Angeles Lakers were the other preferred destination of his. I think the Warriors were also in there as well. And we were able to take him out from under their noses. And so it puts the Nets in an even better position compared to some other contenders. I'm thrilled with it. I think everybody on Nets Nation is thrilled with it. I know Sean Marks is happy he got his guy. I'm just excited to see where he takes us because he is going to absolutely put the Nets in a better position than we would have been had we not gotten a backup guard of his caliber.
Yo, let's talk about the Lakers for a second. I'm so tired of the Lakers and Nets being paired. I'm so tired of this super team narrative. Like, stop it already. This is the NBA. Every team is trying to build a super team. Every team is trying to get the best players possible on their team and the best backups possible on their team. So people are talking about the Lakers got so much better. Oh, LeBron's got a super team now. StatMuse put out a tweet an hour ago, and it says Lakers age 37, Carmelo Anthony signed with the Lakers. 36, LeBron James, you already know. 36, Mark Gasol. 36, Trevor Ariza. 36, Jared Dudley. 35, Dwight Howard is back. 34, Wes Matthews. 33, Wayne Ellington. All those guys are older than I am. Russell Westbrook goes over there. Great. He's 32. Kent Bazemore signs with them. Great. He's 32. Just because you recognize the names doesn't mean that these guys are a super team. Now, Jared Dudley,
all their younger players are going to end up on the Nets with his Washington Wizards sign and trade. It's funny.
That's actually like literally what I was waiting on potentially to happen today. I was like, I didn't want to go live until we find out the Nets got Kyle Kuzma or whoever. But Lakers still have to bring back Jared Dudley and Wes Matthews, but we got younger. We drafted 5 rookies. The Nets are looking at their roster like, hey, why don't we have some guys with some fresh legs for a finals run? If you're going to play from October to June, you're going to need some young guys that can go out there and give you minutes when the veteran guys are resting. If you have a roster full of washed guys over 33, I just don't see them as a super team. I don't see them as a big threat. I know that there's a ton of LeBron sexuals. I know there's a ton of Lakers fans, Melo fans. That's great and all, but back to the Nets. In Marks we trust. We're doing just fine. We're all right. And shifting gears from what other free agency moves we've made, I think a huge move for us is bringing back Brooklyn Blake. Blake Griffin is back on the veteran minimum. And Blake Griffin is a guy that I never thought was going to be on the Nets. And they cried when we got him, right? When he left Detroit and we picked him up, they cried, oh, super team, super team, super team. Blake's going to run it back with us. He'll have a full offseason. He'll have a full offseason with the team and with the team doctors to train, to rehab, to get stronger, get better, develop his chemistry with the Nets. Hudson, what are you thinking about us bringing back Brooklyn Blake? I think that's a huge move.
I'm thrilled with it. Now, if you go back to a podcast we did a little less than a week ago, we had the Anthony Puccio on, and the question came up, would you rather Uncle Jeff or Blake? Me and Pooch agree that we wanted Uncle Jeff. Keith wanted Blake. We obviously don't get him, but Blake is a great guy. We love the effort he brings. We love the energy he brings. If he can stay healthy, which he showed the ability to do on the Nets last year, no injury issues with the Nets last year, it's a great move. And to have him for cheap, especially knowing that his money is going to be settled, he's still getting paid by the Pistons. It's a huge move. It's a very low risk move. Last year, we brought in Uncle Jeff on the vet minimum. Now we have Blake Griffin on the vet minimum. And those are 2 signings last year and this year that are going to make a difference. Blake showed a willingness to be that role player for this team. He showed a willingness to be a spark. We loved seeing his dunks. We loved seeing him diving on the floor, making that effort, making the energy plays. I love it. And it's obvious that he's a beloved member of this locker room. It's very quickly becoming part of the culture of this Nets team here, to have some dogs, to have some guys that are willing to dive on the floor, willing to get bloodied up like Joe Harris does every game. And Blake Griffin is just another part of that, and I'm thrilled to have him back. And I am absolutely looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the Nets next season.
Did we also get James Johnson on the vet minimum? I know it's a
We did.
1-year deal.
We did.
That's
2 vet
another
men.
veteran. A veteran big, 6'7", 240 with a black belt. I'll take James Johnson on this team as a dog, as an enforcer, as a guy that they're saying is going to play defense. He can guard multiple positions. And I look at this as a team, right? When I say the Nets are at the top, do not forget who's at the top of this team, our big 3. We're building out the rest of the roster. We're building out depth pieces. We're filling holes. We're clogging up gaps. And I think right now we're doing fine. I think we're on a good pace. James Johnson is not someone whose name I was thinking of, but neither was Javon Carter last Thursday. Also got to speak on Javon Carter. I know it's not free agency, but he's on this team as well through the trade with the Suns last Thursday night. It's another veteran. And then last but not least, Bruce Brown signs his qualifying offer, 1 year, $4.7 million.
That's the biggest steal. That's the biggest steal we could have gotten this entire offseason. Bruce Brown was in a position, I don't know if you guys remember all the reports. ESPN was reporting it. The Athletic was reporting it. Everybody was reporting that Bruce Brown was in a place to get double-digit millions, 10 or so, 12 or so million dollars from whatever team wanted him. And we get him for the qualifying offer. I think it's like $4.7 million. And obviously that adds a little more to the luxury tax, but Joe Tsai has shown a willingness to pay, a willingness to do what he can to get this championship, and to have masked Bruce back. It's huge. I talked about how much I liked having Blake Griffin and his ability and his willingness to get on the floor, diving for balls, making those effort plays, making those energy plays. Bruce Brown is the epitome of that. And he's someone who has developed his offensive game, and he's someone that has begun to develop his shot. His corner 3 was getting up close to 37% last season. Exciting stuff for Bruce, who's still young, who's still a dog, who is another player that is a part of this Nets culture. Thank you, Sean Marks. You're a wizard. And to anyone who has had any doubts about Sean Marks this offseason, obviously it still remains to be seen, the biggest move, what's going to happen with Spencer Dinwiddie. But in terms of keeping the supporting cast and filling the gaps where we have them, he's done a phenomenal job.
And he's not done. This isn't over. I don't know. I think there's still another move, maybe two, to be made. And then obviously with Spencer Dinwiddie, let's talk about him because we know that sign and trade is coming. It's not finalized, but farewell to our guy, the tech guy with the jumper gets paid. I said on Twitter last night, I knew as soon as Sean Marks came out in that press conference and he said Spencer Dinwiddie is in line for generational wealth. When GM is talking about you being in line for generational wealth and not directly saying that we are going to provide it or we are going to be the ones to sign him, it's basically saying, hey, man, go get your paper. Like, we know what you've done here and we know what you can do. You're healthy now. Go somewhere else where you can be a star. There's not much room for you here. And Spencer's going to get to do that in Washington, D.C. Now, farewell to Spencer. Farewell to Jeff Green as well. He signs with the Nuggets, and I think he got more. We had him on the vet minimum. He got more money than we were willing to give him. I think he signed a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Nuggets. That's great for Uncle Jeff. Uncle Jeff signs with the team that is going to be competitive in the West if Jamal Murray is healthy. I mean, they were already competitive without him. I love that for him. He had a great season with us. It sucks that he missed time in the playoffs, but everybody will remember him being the Robin to KD's Batman in that game where he had 27. I think was that game 5. Also, our guy Jared Allen, we got to speak on, right? These former Nets getting paid. Jared Allen just signed a 5-year, $100 million contract. If that doesn't make you happy, if that doesn't make you smile as a Nets fan, I know some of you might be new and might not have that love for Big J like we have, but talk about generational wealth. And what is he, 20, 21 years old? At the most, he's 22. And he's got the bag. He's got $100 million. And he got there off of what he did with the Nets. And now he's one of the top 5 centers in the NBA. Any other thoughts on Jeff Green, Spencer Dinwiddie, even Jared Allen? Like, farewell to some of our old friends, but it's always great to go see you get paid and get the money you deserve in this league.
Man, it's a bittersweet offseason, but I'm going to lean in on the good times. I'm going to lean in on the sweet. Uncle Jeff, thank you for everything you've done. I don't know a player that has ever signed for the veteran minimum and has so deeply ingrained himself, not just in the locker room, not just with the team. We all remember when the Nets were on a losing skid. We lose to the Pistons, and he's the guy in the locker room that gets everybody on their feet, that gets everybody feeling right and ready for the Nets to rip off close to 10 wins in a row. But just like ingratiating himself with the fans, being someone that Nets fans like, that everybody liked, just such a consummate professional, what a well-liked player. It made me happy. And then the younger version of that mentality, Jared Allen, a player whose heart was questioned, who dropped, I believe, to 19th or something like that, 22nd maybe in the draft to the Nets, because scouts didn't believe he had the will to win. He didn't have the love for basketball that they were looking for, all because he spent time, working on his computer and doing stuff like that, playing video games. And here we are 5 years later, and man, good for him. The Nets wouldn't have been able to pay him. Obviously, I would have loved to seen him play in the black and white for the rest of his career, but with him going out and getting that money with Cleveland on a young team, he's got an exciting young front court partner taken in the top 5. I'm just thrilled for him. I'm thrilled to see what he's going to be able to do on that team. I think he's a leader on that team. We saw him blossom even more than he did in the Nets with the Cavs in that short amount of half season that he played with them last year. I'm just absolutely thrilled for it. And if you got to see guys leave, and it's the same with Spence, you want him to go to a good landing spot. We have absolutely nothing but good vibes and positivity going to these guys because they devoted everything to the Nets. Jared Allen put his body on the line. He, as a young player, was getting into fights with Joel Embiid. We had, Uncle Jeff stepping up, being that guy, willing to get into people's faces, willing to have those game-changing dunks.
Sorry to cut you off, breaking news. Is this done?
Oh shit.
Is Spencer Dinwiddie's? Hold on, I see it in the chat. Matt Brooks just
Dinwiddie's.
reported. Let's see.
Oh boy. Let's see what our boy Matt said.
Matt
We
Brooks,
take all credit for
NBA.
Matt Brooks. We were the first podcast he ever featured on before he was verified.
I mean, he put out a tweet, but it doesn't have any information. It says news.
Nah,
The
I
Brooklyn
think
Nets.
that's a joke. I think he's making a joke.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this picture? Yeah, so that's a false alarm. Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards have finally completed their sign and trade for Spencer Dinwiddie, and then it's a picture of like a ruined, abandoned city.
I think he thinks the world is going to end before they actually complete this. But man, Matt Brooks came in with his meme and cut off my impassioned rant about former Nets. I'm just happy for him. I'm happy that they're getting their bag. I think the Nets have a good culture. I think Nets fans have a good culture about former players. I love it. There's three of the most well-liked players across the league. Happy for them. Happy for Nets fans to be happy for them. I look forward to playing them in the playoffs down the line.
Voicemail time. Let's get it. Man, I hate this thing. This happens every single time, bro. I'm connected, and then when I hit play, it disconnects.
It's some shit, man.
All right, here we go.
Yo. Yeah, so there's some shit, man. I'm hyped about Patty Mills. Not gonna lie, but we still need a real big. Like a real center that can protect the paint. I don't know. I can't really think of one right now. But like, we really need a real big.
Okay, I understand that. What if we're not
Thomas
trying
Bryant?
to roll like that? Like, yeah,
Montrezl Harrell.
Thomas Bryant,
moves to be made.
Harrell, but are those considered real bigs for you guys? Like, I don't know. And then like I saw some people talking about Andre Drummond and him going to Philly, and that didn't do anything for me. Like, I'm not worried about him and Embiid. Him and Embiid.
He's a Dwight Howard replacement. He's not the guy that everyone thought he was going to be.
Howard and Andre Drummond from Philly to LA, like whatever. Those guys I don't lose sleep over them. So sure, we still need a big, but maybe the Nets aren't trying to play like that. And maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe there's something else coming. Like, we're not done here. I don't know who's left out there. You can look at your free agent trackers and this, that, and the other. But I'm not so much worried about this team not having a true center, a real big, if that's not the style of play they're looking for. Let's play the next voicemail.
What up to the Talking Nets fan? What's up, Keith? Yo, it's your boy MG Busher. Just let everybody in the Twitterverse know, can we stop questioning my boy Sean Marks? Has he not done enough for us already? Let's get this. Next year, Nets World. Us against the world as per usual. See you next year in the block, Keith. Can't wait. Brooklyn.
That is something I want to say, because there has been a lot of negative vibes on Nets Twitter about Sean Marks. There were some people saying, Sean Marks is selling. Sean Marks isn't all that anymore. Look what the Lakers did. Oh my God! Look at what the Bulls are doing. They're signing players. Like, no, just watch what Sean Marks does. He has never failed you. He has never ever failed Nets fans. He has always succeeded. Okay, we didn't get Otto Porter. Fine. We let Jeff Green go.
Almost got his guy.
Oh my God. It's kind of ridiculous. And look, if you've been a Nets fan for a while, at least since the Sean Marks era, and I'm not mad at you if you haven't been. No disrespect to bandwagons. We accept all bandwagons here. You just got to look at his record. He doesn't miss. The man doesn't miss. He took those 5 rookies. Those 5 rookies have a future in the NBA. At least those top 3 are probably going to make an impact on this Nets team this year in terms of Cam Thomas, Daron Sharp, and Henry Kessler. He knows what he's doing. He does not miss. There is absolutely no reason, no justification to not have faith in what Sean Marks is doing because the Nets got injured in the playoffs last year, or because, oh no, we didn't get Andre Drummond. It's honestly, it's ridiculous at this point. And he has always been able to work his magic for Nets fans. And he's never taken an L, and he won't take an L. So just have faith in our guy.
In Marks we trust, and Marks we trust, and Marks we trust. This is the guy that pulled off the James Harden trade. Wait, go back. This is a guy that got us 7-Eleven. This is a guy that got us from the Kenny Atkinson Brooklyn grit building to get to somewhere era to actually somewhere where we are now. This podcast was created under Sean Marks's era and the moves that were made, right? You got to look at some other teams and other executives and what they've done and then compare it. And I know Nets fans, we're in this weird space, right? It feels like all of this has happened so fast. We go from being the destination that no one wanted to go to. We go from being the bottom feeders to now we're the villains. Now we're the super team. And we still want more. Why do we want more? Because we came up short this year. Why do we want more? Because we feel like we have to win it next year. And if we don't get better right now, we don't have the team on paper right now, there's no way it could happen. And Sean Marks will fail us. I don't feel that at all. I'm chilling, feet up, kick back. Like when I say in Marks we trust, and you see Hudson tweet out in Marks we trust, and Mark, we do trust because he changed our lives as Nets fans. Like it's completely different. One more voicemail. Boo. Come on. This is fucking stupid. Why is it not playing? It's playing on my phone. I gotta find a better way. Okay. And it's a quick voicemail. It's only 6 seconds.
Yo, what's up, guys? Love you shit. Quick question.
Oh. Well, what's up, guys? Love your shit. Quick question. And then he cut it off before the question. So that's all we've got for voicemails. Let's hit the chat. I see you guys active in the chat. I had to put Ray Romano on block for 5 minutes timeout. He was tweaking. And he was also tweaking last episode, but you know, that's what tweakers do. So any questions you guys have about free agency, concerns about the Nets, players that are still out there, other teams, who are you afraid of? Are y'all afraid of the Miami Heat? I'm not afraid of the Miami Heat, but I like what they did going to get PJ Tucker off his linebacker. And then they also got Kyle Lowry. So they're looking like they're retooling. They gave Duncan Robinson 5 years, $90 million. Jimmy Butler's getting a lot of credit for what they're doing over there. Sure. I guess the Heat are going to be better, but you got
Jimmy Butler got the max. I don't know about that move. Jimmy Butler's old as shit and got the max. I don't know.
He took him to a finals. He took him to the Bubbles finals, but the NBA bubble finals, now the more we look at that can't even be compared to any of these other chips. We're coming back for 82 Nets world, baby. That's the chip I want. We get back to 82 games, everything back in its regular time and, you know, how we're used to, and then the Nets take that one. So let's see. Do you believe, let me add it to the screen. Do you believe the slow progress with Spencer trade has cost us decent players that we could have signed? I don't. I look at it like this, right? It's business. And when you rush business decisions, you can make mistakes. Spencer is a guy that is coming off injury. They got to make sure he's good, that, you know, they got to check his medicals, his physical, whatever. Then they got to figure out how much they're going to pay him. And then also the sign and trade. Like there's a lot of moving parts to this where I'm not surprised. It broke we thought last night we were going to get the answer. We thought this morning we were going to get the answer. Maybe there's something stopping this or holding this up. But I don't think it has cost us decent players that we could have signed, because like these guys, I don't think it's a matter of somebody not signing with us because of that. Like, I think they're just independent things. What do you say, Hudson?
Yeah, I mean, like you're not, no free agent is making a signing decision based off of how quickly it's going to happen, right? Like if the Nets had a guy that they were targeting, let's use Otto Porter as an example. If the Nets were targeting Otto Porter, they would have said, hey, look, we're going to have the money for you, but you just need for us to wait to get DJ off the books. That's going to happen on, let's say, Friday when this sign and trade goes through. You can say that to him and he'll say, okay, I want to play for the Nets. What's your like prospective deal that you're going to offer? The NBA isn't like 2K. It's not like these, trades that people work up online. You can talk to someone, you can make offers before you have the money. You can talk to people before you're in the perfect position to make that signing. So if there were players that the Nets were targeting, we would have been able to talk to them and we would have been able to say, look, hey, hold off for a minute until we have that money and let's get that done. Not every signing has to come exactly on 6 p.m. when the trade or when the free agency opens. If there were people that Sean Marks was going to sign, he's going to get them. If there are trades he's going to make, he's going to make them. There's no reason that we would have lost out on anybody because of the Spencer trade.
Bro, and you said it, DeAndre Jordan. We were getting pumped yesterday thinking DeAndre Jordan was going to get out of here. Where are the Thunder at when you need them? Like, they're probably trying to fleece us, but if anything is holding stuff up, it's getting DeAndre Jordan's money off the books. Thoughts on JJ Redick to the Nets? TTO Matty YT writes. Thoughts on JJ Redick to the Nets? We've been talking about this for a while. I've watched his home digest YouTube video tour of his Brooklyn apartment, which is like a house, which is awesome. We all know he wants to play for the Nets. We all know he wants to be in Brooklyn. I'd take him. I don't really know too much about the Nets' interest in him or how close that is to happening, Hudson. What have you seen in the Twitter space about JJ Redick to the Nets? I'm a Duke guy, so I love JJ Redick.
It's all been random chatter, and I'm a Maryland guy, so I hate JJ Redick forever, but I'll love it if he does come to the Nets. But look, he's a shooter. He's a guy that would be able to contribute. He's a guy that has known his role in the NBA for a while. He knows he's not going to be, starting every game. He knows exactly what he's going to be there to do. But look, the Nets haven't actually actively expressed any interest in him since, the buyout deadline way back when. There has not been a lot of reports on him. I think he's going to come to the Nets eventually. But like I said before, there's no rush for any of these things to happen. The season doesn't start for a while. JJ Redick isn't going to be playing in the summer league, right? There's going to be a lot of time before things happen. And for someone like JJ Redick, who it seems like knows where he wants to go, there's no reason to rush it because nothing is stopping him from coming to the Nets now, and nothing is stopping him from coming to the Nets in the first week of September.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess as fans, we speculate everyone to everywhere, and we'll find out when it goes down. So I'm seeing a bunch of stuff in the chat now, and I don't want to talk about the Manhattan Squares, but I will say I am pumped they got Evan Fournier. If you listen to Talking Nets, we don't fuck with Evan Fournier at all, whether he is playing for his national team, whether he's on the Celtics, whether he's on the Orlando Magic. His goofy ass is not welcome here. So perfect. He lands in Midtown. We'll see you soon, Evan Fournier.
Yeah, also, they don't have any money, so I'm not quite sure how they're supposed to get Damian Lillard, like one Stephen A. Smith is suggesting. But I'm going to use this opportunity to say to everybody in the chat that is saying things about Joe Harris, and I saw Keith got on our Twitter and decided to put some people in their place about things they're saying. We're not trading Joe Harris. Nobody's trading Joe Harris. I'm so tired
of it, bro. I'm sorry.
They're just absolutely not trading Joe Harris. I couldn't possibly get in your mindset where you think that the Nets are trading Joe Harris. There's just literally a less than 0% chance that it happens.
Bro,
prove me wrong, Nets, but it's just not going to happen. Let it go.
On Twitter, I'm like, get off his nuts, okay? Like someone said on Twitter, Joey Buckets, what did he do in the playoffs? And they were responding to a picture of the nickname T-shirt we made for the John Boy Media shop. That T-shirt was made before the playoffs started. We would not leave Joey Bucket's nickname off that shirt. He's got one of the most popular nicknames on the team. But this person is still stuck in the Bucks series and wants to come at us for putting Joe Harris on a shirt. I'm like, get off his nuts, bro. Like, stop. We get it. Like, we were all heartbroken by it. We all wish Joe Harris played better, but he's not getting traded. You see Jared Allen get paid. You're about to see Spencer Dinwiddie get paid. Well, we paid Joe Harris. We gave him the contract last year. He is our guy, and we locked it in. So stop.
He's the last guy. Also, he's the last old regime Net. Now that Spence is gone, he's the last of our guys. And Sean Marks made a commitment to him being one of our guys. He is, over the last 4 years, the best shooter in the NBA. He is fourth all time among qualified shooters for 3-point shooting percentage in NBA history. And yes, he had a bad playoffs. I don't want to say so what, but like it happens. And you know what? It doesn't happen if the Nets are not hurt. It doesn't happen if he's not forced into that role. Joe is not getting traded. Get over yourselves.
Kyrie is out there. Joe gets some different looks. And not to speak on the Icks again, but their MVP Julius Randle went missing in the playoffs. It happens to guys that are great. It happens. The playoffs are a different speed, a different level of play. It happens. Let's move on from that. I'm seeing different names in the chat. I'm seeing Miles Turner, Enes Kanter. They're still looking for a center for your Brooklyn Nets. I saw DeMarcus Cousins. I saw who else's name did I see? Hassan Whiteside. We shall see. I don't know if that's the focus. I know the fans think we just need that center and we're good, but let's see. Let's take one or two more questions because I know Hudson has to go. Andre Iguodala, I saw he was meeting with the Warriors. Kawhi to the Nets.
I posted that photo on Twitter of Kawhi in a Nets jersey, and the amount of people that took it seriously was astounding.
Can't take a joke around here. Someone said, I'm trying to find it, but someone was like, what does luxury tax mean? Or, they're like, can you explain the luxury tax? It's not something that needs to be explained, right? Think about it. It's a luxury tax. If you watch baseball and you watch basketball, you pretty much know what it is, right? They're different. There's no salary cap in MLB, but for our purposes, Sean Marks comes out and says, we're married to the luxury tax. That basically means like, I'm going to take that fine, homie. Like, it is what it is. We're going to spend like
the Lakers. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. The Lakers are paying Talen Horton-Tucker $10.6 million a season. They just signed him.
Yeah. Fan favorite. They got rid of Caruso. They had to do that. You know, they had to do that. Fans they love him. So THT, get your money, bro, in LA. Super team. Oh my glob. The Lakers in 4. Here we go. We're going to hear Lakers in 4 for the next, 10 months. Let's go. Let's see. Let me find a good question. KD got a lot of shit for needing help. LeBron is doing the same, but gets no shit for it. In my opinion, neither of them deserve any of it. What are your thoughts? I already really addressed this. I said this is the NBA. Everyone's trying to make a super team. Everyone needs help. Doesn't matter how good these individuals are. You watched. It didn't matter how good KD's individual performance was in the playoffs. It wasn't enough to get us through. A game of inches, we were this close. So it's the league. It's a copycat league. This is what goes on. Miles Turner, I don't think we get, but maybe, I don't know. Patty Mills. Yeah, in the beginning of the show, we talked about Patty Mills right away. Patty Mills is a huge signing for the Nets. I think he's going to be sneaky. I think when, Kyrie's got to step away, when there's load management, when there's things going on during the season, we'll be really happy that we have veteran Patty Mills, 10-year vet coming from the Spurs, Greg Popovich system. 32 years old, can still get after it. Let's see. Does Joe start next season? This is what I'm talking about.
Actually, here's the thing. I'm going to say it. Joe won't start next season, but it's not because of what he did in the playoffs.
Yeah, and he might start because
he might. But I think he's going to come off sixth man. That's what he did when we were totally healthy last season.
I was calling for them to bench him during the Bucks series because he didn't have it. So I don't know. There's so much to be seen by then. Who knows? Joe could be working out right now. He could be in the gym shooting right now to get better and get his shot at redemption, which is on the way. So last question. What do you think we will see from Clax next season? Well, I think that's a good way to, try and wrap this thing up. Summer League is upon us. Summer League starts, I think, this weekend. And we're going to see a lot of these young guys. And when we talk about the Nets needing a center, when we talk about the Nets needing a big, I think they expect Nick Claxton to take a step and be able to give us serviceable minutes in the paint next year. Your thoughts, Hudson?
He's had a whole season now, for the most part, close to, of working with James Harden. On the pick and roll, he's going to be scary. On defense, I expect him to be second or third team all defense in the entire NBA. His ability to guard the one, his switch ability is something that is absolutely massive and is going to get taken advantage of by the Nets. Finally, I think he's going to follow the Jared Allen trajectory. I think he's going to really, really break out this season. He's now played close to one full season in the NBA, a little more, combined with his time in the G League in his rookie year, combined with the shortened season, combined with all of those things. He's played about a season now. This is really his sophomore year, but he's had so much time to develop, so much time to work, and I think he's really going to benefit from it. I think we're going to see a new and improved Claxton that has all of the old ability to switch, all the ability to rim run, all of the excitement, all of the energeticness that he brings to every game, but with, increased footwork, better technical skills, the ability to, have that confidence to dominate down low. And he's going to be on a great team, so he's going to be in a great place to do it. I think Clax absolutely breaks out of his shell and really becomes that serviceable, high-quality, young Jared Allen type center that the Nets have been looking for in him for these past 2 seasons.
Yeah, and he'll have a guy in Day'Ron Sharp in camp. He'll have Reggie Perry. He'll have other guys to compete with and to deal with. Blake Griffin. Now James Johnson. Like, these guys are all going to get better. So, all right, let's wrap this thing up because Hudson's got to get out of here. That's all we've got. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Chat is going strong. I think we got to do these lives later in the afternoon. We always get like a bigger audience and a more interactive audience in the chat. Yeah, I'm seeing DeMarcus Cousins' name come up. I don't think so. And before we end, you got to think about Boogie Cousins' attitude. You got to think about his relationships in the league. I don't think he's got the best relationship with James Harden, if you guys remember.
And the fact that we don't really need him.
Like, on top of the relationship stuff, we don't need your ass. Like, we don't like you and we don't need you. So I don't think Boogie Cousins is really a possibility here. Like I said, they, this is KD's team. It's Kyrie's team. It's James Harden's team. Don't forget about the top. As you're watching all this free agency stuff go on and these guys find new teams and, these different signings and who's going to go where, just remember as Nets fans who we are and who we have and what it took to get here. It's actually ridiculous. So that's all we've got. If anything else happens, we will be on Twitter. We'll be on Instagram. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at Talking Nets. You can follow me at Keith McPherson. Hudson Flynn, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Hudson Flynn. Real names, no gimmicks.
Yeah, we're just coming out with our government names, no aliases. Leave a voicemail. Whoever called and didn't finish your question, call back and leave a voicemail, 201-870-0461. Make sure you subscribe to the pod. We're getting more subscribers on YouTube. I think we're about to break 700 subscribers on YouTube. The downloads are holding, even though it's the off season. The Instagram is still growing. The Twitter is still growing, which is great because this is our first real off season. Last year, we had obviously like the bubble and some other things. And the year before that, whatever. So it's good to see growth and it's good to see the community growing with Nets fans. And once again, appreciate you guys in the chat. That's all we've got. Keep an eye on all of the Shams bombs, Woj bombs, and we'll be back to report whatever happens. Your favorite Brooklyn Nets fanalist, Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn. We're out. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.